Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Farah. Welcome to my channel where today it's Sunday, November 23rd, and we're going to be talking Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. One little mistake is I labeled this also the tell-all, 9 and 10, and tell-all. My fault. The tell-all is actually not available. I thought it was available. I saw it, and I didn't realize that when I was looking at it, I was just seeing a thumbnail that is not available yet. So my fault. So we only have to do 9 and 10, and we have to wait till December 3rd for the tell all, which I mean, okay. What a weird, why did they set them out this way? Why did they release 10 on one day and not like divvy them up a little bit if you're not going to release anything this week for Thanksgiving week? I don't know. You tell me. Does that seem weird to you? Hi, if you haven't yet, please come and like this video, share it, or just somehow tell the algorithm that you're into what's happening, which is that you're looking at me and I'm talking about the show. So either by, again, commenting or sharing or doing whatever you want just to help the girl out. I really appreciate it. Obviously, also, it just helps. It helps people find me talking about dumb things, which is like, my brand. Okay, so yes, we're gonna wait a little bit for people to get in the room. Hi, say hi if you want. You don't have to, no pressure. But yeah, if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. I watched Wicked last night, so as I'm letting people come in the room, just tell you my Wicked review. This is obviously part 2. I liked it. I liked it better than the first. Yeah, I liked it better than the first. And people are like, it's not that great because the second act isn't that fun. Like, it's just boring from there. And all the great songs happen in the first pack. And I was like, okay. The first part was just so over the top. And I don't love the tone sometimes of, you know what it is? I don't like the tone so much of the way Wicked is written. I don't think that the, like, slightly off words they use, like instead of something being horrible, it's like, it's a lot of horribilation. It's like they do a lot of that kind of stuff, and the tone of that is just it's supposed to, I guess, be funny, but it's not really. It's more kind of like dumb, kind of campy like humor. And then when I'm supposed to really care or like feel into it, it just sometimes can feel very presentational. And I understand that it's a musical. So like why are some musicals okay with being super presentational and then some other ones like this one rides a line that it's hard for me to feel a lot of empathy for the characters. Okay? So here's the thing. Does Cynthia have an amazing voice? Yes. Can I hear her sing for the rest of my life? Yeah. Kind of I'm like the most she emotes so hard. She like is so gifted. She is her range and the resonance of her voice and what she can do is like Olympic level. Ariana has such a beautiful voice. It's true. She, is obviously very great and skilled at doing that up close singing, that audio in a mic singing. So it's interesting to hear the difference, right? Sometimes, yeah, she really has to barely sing sometimes. It feels like I don't know, in juxtaposition to some of the theater voices. Um, how do you feel about the way the two stars act on the red carpet? I don't feel great about it. I feel like it's weird. I feel like this is what it is. They are over the top, right? Like those two women are over the top together in their own world of like how they feel toward each other and their like protectiveness toward each other and the fact that they have to kind of like keep a finger on each other at all times and the way that it's like okay, it's like it's like they're cosplaying kind of obnoxious characters and when they're together they just like amplify it. I hate to say that, but it's like yeah, they're unwatchable. I think it's so interesting that the way that Wicked has been promoted to us is like been the first round was horrible and this round is crazy, especially with everyone getting so upset at Ariana for like not going to Brazil and then Cynthia like couldn't do the New York press and now Ariana has COVID. It just feels like the press tour has always been really intense for them, and they, I guess, survive it by being really elitist, kind of almost like feral twins that haven't seen civilization in a long time and only have each other to like feel good in this world. It's funny because they really do give the energy of like a Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen in that they like only have again each other and the entire world like wants to eat them, it seems like. It feels like that kind of energy. Mind control is some kind of trauma bond. Yeah, 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 yeah. The trauma bond's really, really interesting. I talked a lot about this. We can get into this. I don't want to like. It's funny that okay. Let me say this. I guess this all plays into a part. So I'm going to use what I just said to get into Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. But Hawaiian dude, I love you so much for being here. And Lisa, I'm like dying, but I'm seeing your name right now. Okay, like so. Thank you, so much for being here. Like makes my life. And obviously Ramsterdam. So I love you guys. So obviously there is things that happen in the insular world of female relationships, right? I talked about this last night. Okay. And everyone has their own experience of it. I definitely have a friend that when I was in college, my friend Michelle and I were like, hey, girl, hey, guess what we're going to do? We're going to not eat for 24 hours. Yeah, let's totally lose weight. We have to totally lose weight. We're not going to eat, whatever. So we didn't, right? We're like living in the same dorm together. This is trigger warning, obviously. I should have said that before. But trigger warning that there is situations where women get together, especially when they're young, or especially when they're immature, or especially when whatever. And you get kind of like this friendship that is like pushing and helping each other do toxic shit, like want to change the physical look of your body and beauty in a way that becomes, like, yeah, not eating. And then when we didn't eat for 24 hours, then we got Taco Bell like on the hour 26. This person, Michelle and I. And then we're like, well, that's not sustainable. And so then we were like, well, it's fine. This is on the age of like, for sure, obviously, uh, Atkins or whatever. And so they were like, fine, we'll just have 2 days a week where we eat only protein. And so, yeah, like I would be in college just sustaining on Slim Jims, hard boiled eggs, and the string cheese. Do I feel like Ariana and Cynthia have a maybe like competitive, but also frenemy, also like who's going to be what definitely feels like less mass of a woman, like all of that plays into account. Plus, they're like incredibly talented and like singing, and they probably have like, diva type style tendencies. And, I think that there's probably a lot happening there that makes them really bonded, but I don't know how healthy it all is. And specifically with Ariana, it was such an interesting movie. I said, uh, her shots in Wicked, like the majority of shots of her are like 5 seconds longer than they have to be. And it feels like in her contract or to make her happy or because she's a producer or because the DP, the director of photography or the editor was in love with her or whatever, that there's just so many shots of her that are just like, just overly long beauty shots up close, just like bottom lip, big-eyed, upset. I don't know. So that's all I have to say about that. But that's girl politics. And you know what? It probably shows up a little bit in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, season 3. This is episode 9 and 10. And the tell all is going to happen later. That's my fault. But here we are. December 3rd is the tell all. But we're wrapping up the 10 episodes of season 3. Okay, my babes. Can you believe it? Oh, okay. So listen, we're back in LA, and we're back in LA, which we've gone back and forth, obviously. And in this situation, we know that Taylor is on the verge of her most important publicity tour. She's going to be on Kimmel, and they're having the premiere of season 2. Obviously, this is season 3. So, and not yet, but two of the girls know they're on Dancing with the Stars, and we are about to hear. I mean, not yet on. Yeah, we're not yet on this, but I wonder if they're going to talk about it on the tell-all. That of course Taylor gets Bachelorette. So in LA, Taylor now knows that Dakota has had inappropriate conversations with a family friend, and it resulted in pictures sent to each other. And it also didn't end up resulting in them fucking or meeting up, although there were plans to do so, plans to meet up. And then somehow he derailed them. Okay. She now knows that and she's upset. And Taylor did herself obviously a disservice by welcoming back Dakota after she had done everything in her power to separate herself from this nightmare man, you know, I was gonna say like the opposite of a magic man. If Hart is singing about a magic man, he's a disaster man, really. So after her like 2-week intensive of like therapy and just getting mom track on back and all the girls on mom talk, I don't say mom track, mom talk on track, and all the girls on mom talk being like, you're our queen, it's you, and thank you so much, and lead us to safety, and all these great things are happening. Taylor's like, yeah, 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 but you know what? Dakota. So I'll make sure Dakota comes to Stagecoach, which was a horrible decision. Now, you can tell me, Chris, it was a decision the producers made, who wanted him there for whatever drama. And I would say, yeah, that sucks because the thing about Taylor is they really want us to believe that Taylor is, I'm not saying she's not, a cool girl who all the girls want to be and all the guys want to fuck, who just happens to get herself in messy situations because of her own trauma, but she tries to take accountability and be honest at all times. And like that's Taylor. You know what's interesting? And they kind of, I guess, end the episode or the season with this, and I'll talk about it when it happens, is that I guess when I think of a cool girl, I don't think of a girl who has like messy romantic relationships with like various baby daddies where she keeps going back and forth with them and sort of allows them to fuck up her life over and over again. And I understand that Taylor has also like built mom talk, so maybe like that's the other thing, and maybe like we all have problem areas, blind spots. But it's just like we never get to see Taylor be like a hot girl. Like I get that she dresses hot, but not even really. She's not like a super sexual girl. We don't get to see her flirt really well. We don't get to see like guys, I guess, like her. And I understand why, but it's not that we get to see her like move about in like a single sexy way that is like alluring. She always is kind of like on a little bit too much like Vyvanse and has to like move her mouth in such a way and barely eats, God bless, and kind of like is always sad and tired looking. And the thing about Taylor that I also hate to say, but I am going to say it or whatever, is that she actually has like some of the worst style on the show, both her like fashion and her makeup. Like Taylor throughout the season is seen doing her own makeup, and I think it's a bad choice. Like, I'm not saying she can't do her makeup every day, but like, bitch, come on. Like, you're not killing it. Like, you're not like, this isn't it. Like, your colors aren't there. You look kind of like tired all the time. And like, your outfits are just horrible. I mean, it's interesting because these girls are very like aesthetically minded, right? They're getting like all the surgeries possible. And on top of like that, they're getting as much Botox and filler as possible just for the ketamine, but God bless. Not ketamine, NOS. They get ketamine too. But obviously we've seen them get Botox and they like suck on nitrous oxide for Botox injections, which is like a wild thing for someone to do. It doesn't even hurt that much anyway. Okay, God bless. Okay, so she is in that world. They all are. And it's interesting how horribly Taylor dresses. Like just boring. It really, I see how she spends what feels like absolutely no money on bargain basement polyester Amazon dresses that are tight for sure, but like polyester, and everyone understands that like that dress was $7. Like it's just so interesting. And yeah, maybe like, okay, so there's just a level of Taylor that I would love her to become a little more polished, a little more elevated. And the funny thing is, it's not going to happen for a variety of reasons. One is Taylor herself is like the more elevated person in the area. There is no one to show Taylor up. There's no one for Taylor to like admire, to be like, oh, I'm gonna like change my game a little bit. Like no one's coming with that for her, so she doesn't feel like she has to. Like she's already queen bee, and she's queen bee in like mismatched sweatpants all the time sweatpants. I mean, I'm just saying again, I want to give her grace. This isn't always like her mom stuff, but it's just, come on. You're gonna be the bachelorette. Here's the thing. Once you're the bachelorette, they're going to obviously dress her completely fucking different on the show than she has been on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which will be a great win for us to see. Because anytime we've seen anyone get leveled up from the bachelor or the bachelorette at any of the contestants that then move up from being like, a suitor or a suitoress to the actual, picker, that person always gets a crazy glow up, right? And it always involves mostly losing like 10 to 15 pounds or gaining more muscle or getting leaner or one of those things. You tell me, just, like tightening up. Um, Tans, veneers, filler. For women, lip. Maybe a little cheek, you'll never know. I mean, maybe you'll know if it's, like, a lot, but, cheek is a little harder, but lip. And, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, the 2 biggest things that are happening now for a lot of aesthetics purposes are bluffs, when they cut that skin and kind of, like, make your eye bigger, which is so interesting. I feel like it's one of those things where I'm going to miss the look of, like, an eye with some gravitas on it, you know? And then the second thing that they do, which you guys know, is a lot of chin implants and chin filler now. I mean, that's talk about Ariana. I mean, as we know, or maybe you don't know, but Ariana Grande and Kylie Jenner have wild amounts of chin filler and or chin extensions like nobody's business. And you can really like see it in their profiles because we've seen them for a long time in their youth. So and listen, I'm not a candidate. I do have a small chin, but it's interesting how like how we see those. So anyway, I think that those are the other things that we're going to start to see in the glow ups that happen. But basic glow up from that is yeah, that tan veneer loss of 10 pounds or 15 pounds in toning. Obviously, Taylor has no weight to lose and she's already tan. And I don't know if she has veneers or not, but I do think that they are going to like give her hopefully a better style because Taylor's style should be a little more rock edge than it is because of like how the way that she is. Like she's like a little athletic. She talks about like, playing sports and stuff like that. She needs a little like maybe even more of a Miranda vibe. I've been really enjoying Miranda's style. Anyway, thank you. Okay, so but let's talk about it. So in the glam room, Taylor is there and Taylor wants to talk to the girls. She wants to tell them all about the fact that Dakota fucked up on her and like, she's barely holding on to this press tour. She like didn't want to even go, but obviously it's a big deal and she has to. And in the glam room, Demi comes in because, God bless, she has to. Now Taylor is doing her own makeup again. And we've been seeing it. She's using like one of those Milk cosmetics and a Mario palette. I'm assuming it's the like matte palette. And Demi comes in with just like a bra on, her like Skims bra. And they talk, and also Whitney's there. And Whitney, okay, so Demi is trying to get in on liking Taylor again, and Taylor like doesn't want to deal with that. And Whitney's just like listening to all of this, and they kind of like go back and forth of what's important and like why Demi's upset and how people haven't been taking her side and how rude it is for people not to believe that she's a victim of Marciano's like sexual predatorness and how it's been like really hard for her and all that stuff. And Taylor like doesn't want to really deal with it. And also, yeah, that's so funny. And also, yeah, she doesn't even wanna be there. She wants to, like, die on the inside because of the fact that Dakota fucked over her, fucked her o fucked her up again, fucked her over on camera again. So, and also Demi is happy to be in this bra. It's just interesting because Demi really moves in this world as if she's not a married woman. And then her excuse is that her husband's okay with it. And then I also want to be like, well, then tell us that tell us that you're swingers then. And tell us that he's a little bit of a cuckold then, so that we understand. I'm not saying that her being in a bra makes him a cuckold. Obviously not. But I do think that all of her like denying her relationship with Marciano, even though he talked to her babies and how everything that she said to him, including like sexy texts, were all understood by her husband, just seems a little crazy. Also, it just seems like there's really no need to be in a bra on television unless you want to be. Because you could easily just put on a top or a button down top or, anything. There's like you're not going through a hot flash. It's just very obvious that, like, you want to be seen as, like, a sexy person. Sometimes when women and everyone does it, but in this situation, we're talking about women. When women do obvious things where they are holding on to a belief that it isn't so captain obvious and that, like, will believe what they're thinking, which is that this is just the way they are, does this thing to my brain where it makes me feel like they think I'm stupid and I can't deal with it. Like, I know it's like a reverse kind of weird logic, but Demi wants to pretend that she's like a happily married, respectful woman, but she's not for a variety of reasons. And so for her to just blatantly do things on television, like be in a bra with no shirt on, and then want us to think that she, like doesn't care if people thinks that she's, like, sexy or if people, like, want her or all of that stuff, then it's just it's like you think that I'm dumb and I'm not dumb, so I can't be in this conversation anymore. I can't kind of, like, deal with her behavior because I find it weird or I find it upsetting. I like to think that all this kind of behavior is indicative, and this is not a real thing, but I like to think that when I feel this kind of feeling around people that are doing something obvious and then wanting people to think it's not happening, that's where it gets to be like, do you have borderline personality disorder? I don't know what it is, or histrionic personality. Like, what is it that makes me feel like we're not on the same page and I see what you're doing and you can't talk me out of thinking that what you're doing is normal or like okay, unless you give me, like, backstory. Yeah, Brett very much seems like he does pay men to come over and have sex with his hot wife, period. He does. He looks like someone who probably can't get it up anymore because, he's older, and so what he'll do is, like, yeah, pay, like, hot young bucks and stallions to come, like, fuck his wife, and then, like, she's okay with it because she gets to have sex. I think that he pays for things. And then, like, he'll just tell her that she's gonna be a star, that she should be the star of Mom Talk, that she's the queen of Mom Talk, and she's like, "Yeah." Also, I do think that they both do a lot of coke together. In this scene, when she comes in her bra, she starts the scene like now she maybe doesn't okay, I wouldn't say she does that many, like, fingers, like, What's Eating Gilbert Grape fingers, but she is like and I guess it does play into, like, why she would think that people would care about her. I don't know why she thought people would care so much about her. She's not fun. She's not funny. I think that one whole thing about people liking people, especially like characters on TV, is they have to be entertaining and or funny. And you could be funny by knowing you're funny, or you can be funny in intention or intentionally. But she's neither. She's whiny, grabby, annoying, always upset. There's no fun adventures with her. There's no like like funny asides, like there's no camaraderie. Like there's no one there that you would want to like have a kiki with or like have a sleepover with, which is kind of like the thing about this show. Like you should kind of want those things with anyone on the show. The thought of like being in a group of women with Demi is really hard to grab for me. Like, so I wouldn't want her to be part of Mom Talk. I'd vote her out easily. So I don't know. So Whitney tells Miranda about also meeting up with, Demi, and she left feeling okay after she like left. So basically, Whitney was on Demi's side, went to the tell-all of season 2, and then was like, "Oh, that's weird." And they had brought up receipts, and she's like, "That seems weird." Then she goes to talk to Connor, and Connor's like, "We'll go talk to Demi." And then she goes to talk to Demi, and Demi's like, "No, no, no, Whitney. Yeah, like, let me tell you all the reasons why. Like, this totally makes sense. No, it's me. I'm the victim, and I just did this because, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was trying to get him to not say the things he said, and you have to believe me." And Whitney's like, "Okay." And then she goes back to Connor, and she tells Connor everything, and Connor's like, "Okay, let me tell you straight up. I'm a fucking victim of sexual abuse, and this bitch isn't. This bitch isn't." So then Whitney's like, "Yeah, she's not." So then Whitney has, again, a conversation, like I said, with Miranda. And Miranda's like, "Great, Whitney, stop fucking being friends with Demi because, like, if you want me back in Mom Talk, like, that's not gonna fucking fly. Those girls hate her, okay? They hate her. So I'm somehow friends with you, Whitney. You're on Dancing with the Stars now. Can you just like let that bitch go? She crazy and like join the team." And Whitney's like, "Maybe." So the next scene is that the girls are plastered everywhere, all over LA, including the Beverly Center, which I remember seeing that. And at one point, they're like, "We're the next Spice Girls." And I was like, "Oh my God." By the way, have you watched any of Victoria Beckham's like docuseries? I really kind of like it. Um, so Whitney gets tape in extensions, and I thought that was interesting. It's not JJ Styles. um, Demi and Whitney hug in the car as they're like driving together, and Whitney, I guess, like decides to take Demi's side because she feels like she understands what it's like to be ostracized. At the same time, the other girls are not letting Whitney drive in the car, and there seems to be 2 cars for the promo for these girls, and so all the girls are going in one car, and I mean, yeah, then 2 girls just really have a lot of room. Um, we find out that Whitney's publicist, who is different from the other girls' publicists, had gotten her had gotten her Jimmy Kimmel. She got Dancing with the Stars, and some of the girls are like, "How did she get it?" Taylor is going to be on Jimmy Kimmel, and obviously Whitney. That's a huge fucking deal. I want to know then who Whitney's publicist is. I think that girl is doing, or man, doing a great job. Can we find out who Whitney's publicist is? I need a publicist. Okay. So, um, Taylor's mom and brother are there. They fly in. Obviously, she's still reeling from Dakota telling her that he almost hooked up with her family friend. And Taylor's mom and brother find out about that. Taylor tells them. And they're both very supportive. Taylor's mom is like so pissed. Leanne had that facelift, honey. She's just sitting there in the corner of her hotel room hugging an LV like it's like a baby. These women in these purses also like the book tote LV. They love like a shopping bag book tote kind of purse. It's just so mom. It's like I get the Goyards are like that, and like the LV is kind of like those LVs that they have now. I mean, it's basically like the better version of the Neverfull, which if we're talking bags, you're in here listening to me talk about this shit so much, the Neverfull was the one that Emily of Emily and Kobe on 90 Day Fiance decided to take to the club. That big ass LV Neverfull. When we were like, why is that bag at the club? Anyway, this is, I know, very like a Succession, like kind of conversation where I'm just being sort of bitchy. But anyway, God bless. It's just, they love that goddamn bag. They all have it in the beige. Like, you can't, it doesn't have a top that zips. So like it just falls over and all your shit flies everywhere. I don't know why. I don't know why people like that bag, I guess. Why do people like that bag? I hate a bag that doesn't close on top. There's never been a time in which purses don't fall over. I am the type of person, I don't know if it's like ADHD, but it's like very hard for me to put tops on anything. Like jars are barely screwed on right. Like I hate putting tops back on lipsticks and eyeliners, like I'll do mascara. I understand it gets dried out, but it's like, especially eyeliners that have a dual edge, like my whole makeup thing is just different tops and who knew where they came from, truly. All that to say, I can really talk about those bags for a long time, and I'm so sorry about that. So they all hate the family member that did this. They all hate Dakota. Like, her brother's like he sucks. Hunter is her brother. Hunter is like, Dakota's dumb and ugly. And I'm like, okay. And then Jesse and Layla show up a day late with their away luggage. They all have away luggage because, that's probably was gifted to them. And it's funny, they're all actually they don't yeah, they have the ones that like have is it away or is it monos? I guess it could be either one. These girls pack a lot though. So later in a glass room, Miranda tells Demi a shove is not a push. So what we keep having is Demi coming into rooms that are the makeup glam rooms and then trying to whatever, like give her piece. And her piece is like, I was assaulted by people and I maintain that and I have gotten no support. So from Marciano, we move on to what happened last season on camera, which was this like stupid Halloween party where Chase was there for Miranda and all that stuff. And it's like when Jordan danced on, it's like all of this stupid shit, like when Jordan danced on Jen. And there was a lot of conversation about like touching other people's wives and what is good, because Demi basically, as we remember, Chase came over to Demi and touched her in some way, and then Demi went over to Brett and was like, some man put hands on me. And then Brett, had to do what Brett did, which is like roid the fuck out. Okay. So in this moment, Miranda, who is Chase's ex-wife, is like, bitch, he didn't fucking shove you. You said he shoved you on camera and he never shoved you. He just touched you. And she's like, well, what's a shove? At first, she's like, well, it wasn't a shove. Then she's like, well, what's a shove? It was this. And she kind of is going back and forth. And Demi just really wants to be not only understood as a victim, but she really wants the women to feel guilt and not being on her side and standing up for her. And some of it's manipulative, like, you have to do this. You have to be kind to me. You have to be on my side or you look bad. But the other half of it is it's her against everyone and Whitney's not 100% on her side. And so it's sort of like what happened last time, which is that Demi wants everyone to do something. Last season, it was to coronate her queen of mom talk and banish Taylor. It was like what she really wanted, for everyone to be like, yes, we all agree you are now queen and go away, Taylor, you suck. And that's literally not what happened. All the girls were like, no. And so she didn't learn from that because now she's back and she's like, I'm going to require all of you to believe me, hook, line, and sinker. You have to believe me that I was sexually assaulted by a chubby Italian man in the villas, that I did not try and get him to flirt with me or anything. I didn't uh, flirt back. I did nothing. You have to believe that. And if I did, it was just, because victims react very differently. And you all have to believe that that wasn't the first time that I've been assaulted, and that I was also tragically assaulted on camera by Chase, who shoved me. And so it was totally valid for me to, get my husband in on the fray. And we both don't understand how you women don't support me when, you have all been supported. So that is like her game, except none of the women like her. None of them do. You can't make people feel for you. You can't guilt or manipulate people to feel for you. What they'll do is they'll just smile at you and then they'll continue whatever thoughts they have about you in their brain and just cut you the fuck off. To me, that's what they do. That is what I do. Like, if I have a certain view of something and I open my mind and listen twice to someone as they try and change my mind, and as I realize as they're trying to change my mind that they become more and more desperate to do so, and their arguments become more and more flimsy, and they become almost manipulative and guilty or obligatory about it, then I do have two choices, being like, fuck you, don't talk to me anymore. Or Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, I wish you the best. And then just let that person think whatever the fuck they want about me, and I never talk to that person again. I never trust that person again, and if we're in conversations or in rooms with people, that person will see a lot of this. Hey, sure. Hmm. Oh, I'm just gonna run to the ladies' room. I'll be right back. Not come back. Okay, so, um, Demi says that everyone needs a media training class, which then when she said that, yeah, I was like, "Bitch, you do. Yeah, you really think that you're hot shit." She really thinks that, like, what do you mean other girls need a media training class? What media like, these it's just okay, here's what it is. I get that these girls are famous, and but it's weird because the minute that, like, some people get an ounce of fame, it feels like their entire lives have been like, "Well, I'm Meryl Streep, and I have just been waiting to be discovered." Like, Demi, you need media training. Even if you are on a big time reality show, it doesn't mean that you have been media trained enough to be elitist about it and then tell other people, like, "You're not you're not Gayle King." Well, I don't even understand the idea. That's so funny. Um, Also, I wanna take a media training class. I think that if I took a media training class, I would understand, and I know what they're doing, I would understand what people hopefully are saying underneath the media training. So, Whitney to Macy says it's exhausting riding the fence. Not to Macy, but about Macy. Whitney is riding the fence between, of course, Demi and the girls. And she's like, yeah, it's exhausting, but Macy should know because she feels like Macy did that last time for Whitney. Whitney was the outs, and uh, obviously Macy tried to be her friend. Then we get a shot of the girls that didn't make it on Jimmy Kimmel being on Ryan Bailey's podcast. And yeah, he does a recap podcast. I haven't met him, but a lot of people that do podcasts with me all are friends with him, or at least by friends, I mean acquaintances. Friends is a big word. It's interesting. You all know, like, if you follow me on Instagram or if you know that I do docu sweeties, that I'm like friends with Pink Shade, who's like Mary Payne, Amy Archer, who's like Little Miss Recap, obviously the reality gays, Matt and Poodle, KKC, reality life, like enough that I've like traveled with them and like have multiple meals with them. Like I very much love those people. And yeah, there's like the other people that are in kind of that group, like Ryan has a podcast and he's in that, and sort of like Heather McDonald's a little bit in that. And then we get more of like the Bravo people. And I think Ryan's a Bravo person, and so is Pink Shade. And then you get to like, well, I mean, all the other, Wash with Crappens and people like that. So anyway, Taylor and Whitney have a friend talk on a couch, and the wallpaper behind them is really, really beautiful. This is like behind the scenes of Jimmy Kimmel. And they are like enjoying this like highlight of their career. And I think it's like hard to be mean when you're like, I can't believe this is happening to us and this is so amazing. Again, I want to be like, who's Whitney's publicist? And then they're like, okay, let's do this fun thing when we get there. Let's like fight for the chair that's closest to Jimmy. And that is cute. And they do a good job. Whitney is a Whitney wants to be a star, and she has a lot of star quality. She really does. And I mean that in the sense that we wouldn't know how weird her personality was if we just were like, "Oh, this is this girl who dances," and stuff like that. And by her personality being weird, it's just that she definitely seems like she will fuck over anyone to be famous, and she also doesn't mind, like, doing weird shit that are, like it's, like that are often social cues, which is perfect for reality television, you know? Um So basically, that Jimmy Kimmel goes off well, and then they all hang out and they go to this place called The Hideaway. I don't know where The Hideaway is, but I had to look it up. Um, and that's where so Jesse had been told about Dakota's dalliance by Jordan, who Dakota and Jordan are now friends, and obviously Jordan and Jesse are together and right now in a 90-day separation. And he tells Jesse, and then so now Jesse knows about this situation, and Taylor knows, but she hasn't really been able to talk about it to anyone. Taylor lets Jesse know everything, and Taylor also realizes that Jesse knows, and so they get to like talk about the details. How many pictures were sent? And what kind of picture? Was it a silhouette? Was it a bikini shot? And, like, were they supposed to meet up? And why did they meet up? And blah, blah, blah. And so they get a lot of those details, like, figured out. And then Taylor just immediately calls Dakota and is like, was it just one pic or was it more than one pic? And he's like really, really mad. And he's just like, you know, weird about it. And then we start to realize that she says that he didn't want to film because of this story. He denies, uh, having sent anything more than one pic. He says that they never planned to meet up and that she had just one time was like, "Yeah, no, but if you ever wanna come over and just cry on my couch, I will." And he was like, "That's weird. I don't need to cry on your couch, weirdo. Weird older lady. I have my own couch to cry on." It's always so funny when people are like, "If you ever need a friendly ear, if you ever need just someone to come over with and just talk about life over a glass of wine and lighting that has been turned down just enough and like a subtle sex playlist. If you ever need that, totally chill like a friend would, you can come on over, like specifically after 11 p.m. and smell my candles." Ew. Okay. The girls are all sitting at a table, like, and waiting for Taylor to like deal with all of this because this is not what Taylor should be dealing with on like the eve of like one of the biggest moments of her life. And she should have never allowed Dakota back in. Like Taylor should have gone to that retreat and then was just like, "Bye, bitch." Taylor should have gone to Stagecoach and found herself like the hottest, richest guy she could there in the artist passes and like fucking make something goddamn happen. Because if I was to be honest, you can't give me 2, 3 seasons of Taylor trying to be the cool girl, like, going back to this, like, absolute nothing of a man. If Dakota had more going for him, it would be easier to believe, but he has nothing. He looks 10 years older than when I feel like we first saw him. He's a pauper. He doesn't offer her any internet clout. He has no talent. He has no artistry. I don't quite see, like, a craft or trade that like he's passionate about that would at least warrant intelligent, deep conversations. They just keep talking about their sexual attraction, which I think that kind of stuff, we talked a little bit about trauma bond and stuff like that. It feels so intense when you're in it, like this is your everyone and you're only obsessed with this person and like, it only is this can be this person, but it really isn't. And the more that you open up your heart and be present with yourself and with others, you will realize that there are actually other, in this case, men out there that have fucking great energies and that you would enjoy their energies when they start to like slightly banter or flirt with you if you aren't so close-minded and obsessively thinking about the trauma from some dumb dude. So I can't have Dakota past this season. Like I can't watch her. I cannot have this like weird back and forth between like a fucking guppy of a man and Taylor. It will make me upset. Like, I need him to move away, or I need the producers to, like, get him married off or something. I mean, and maybe that's the point of her being the bachelorette. Maybe this was, like, their way of being like, "Fucking we need to get Taylor to be with other dudes." So, I mean, I'm going to watch the shit out of The Bachelorette. I'm gonna watch the shit out of it. I not only that, I feel like I'm gonna have to cover it for, like, a podcast and YouTube. I think it's that important, especially because we know so much backstory, and especially because we know in our hearts that ABC is going to bring Dakota to the Bachelorette or Bachelorette. They're going to like he's going to be involved. He's going to be there in the season. She's going to have a conversation with him, or she's going to be like caught making out with him. There's going to be some fucking drama with Dakota there. I know it. Okay. So anyway, um, the girls go back to their but their girls are, like, obviously on their press tour. The Paramount lot has their, like, season 2. They're just, like, dying over how, like, exciting it is and how crazy how big it is and how much people care, and it's true, that is a big deal. They're wearing cute things for, like, some of their bus pics. Layla's wearing this really cute red check number, and then for the premiere, everyone's wearing, like, flowy kind of blue mermaid gowns, like, again, like, little Aphrodite's just coming out of the ocean. Whitney is like gets Dancing with the Stars and is obviously riding the fence and has always wanted a lot of purpose. And Whitney, having told us that she was going to make it her mission to get Dancing with the Stars. I don't know why I said it like that, stars, is like, Whitney, I, I'm gonna get Mom Talk back together again. Watch. And then we go into what is like kind of the final act, if you will. But back to Provo on Alaska Airline. And when I saw the Alaska Airline, I was like, yeah, they're just getting everything paid for. Only because to me, there's no reason to take Alaska Airlines from LA. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm laughing. There's no reason to take Alaska Airlines from LA to Utah. I mean, maybe there's a reason, but I guess it's like, why wouldn't you just take Southwest? Why wouldn't you just take JSX? Alaska? Okay, great. So, but they do. Okay. And I'm like, do they get first class in Alaska for this? They better. Okay. So I'm sure they do. Leanne's face looks good. You know, that she had that facelift from last season. It's settled nicely. And Taylor comes over to talk. And here's the thing. They now get to call like psychos that woman that is friends with them for them to like yell at for Dakota. And the way that Leanne so happily jumps into Taylor's drama and tells off this woman is so immature. It's so mean girl energy for like us older woman. Like there's just a lot of things that could happen. Like obviously the whoever this is, that person does not want to be on TV and so they're going to like not say her name or, and like not have her voice. But it's interesting like Leanne won't let her daughter who seemingly can handle her fucking self like have her own conversation. She always has to kind of be like there like baiting someone being like, you know, you're lying, tell the truth. She's yelling at this woman instead of just letting her daughter have like a conversation, like a hype woman for her daughter. But her daughter is, like 30 years younger and like has a lot of toxic drama in her relationships, which you know of, and you are like feeling the flames. The truth of the matter is, what do you say to a person that is like an older woman friend that somehow got your lover's number? Your lover is an asshole who cheats on you and probably has like a sex addiction and or just is a cheater and wants attention all the time. But this person, yeah, like seemingly reached out and wanted to bait this dumb Neanderthal of a sex fiend that you keep going back to into coming over to that person's house. I wouldn't it's like I want that person to know that I know, but beyond that, it would just be like, "Hey, Lorna," that's not her name. "Hey, Lorna, uh, do you have anything to tell me?" And Lorna's like, "No, what would I tell you?" "Well, I know, so you can tell me." "I don't have anything to tell you." "I already know, Lorna. I've seen the picture. So what do you want to tell me?" And Lorna can be like, "I have nothing to tell you." And you can be like, "Okay, well, from my vantage point, Lorna, you were a family friend of ours that knew my ex baby daddy slash person I'm still in a relationship with, and you texted that person pictures and they were of you in a bikini for no reason. And then you decided to tell this person that they can come over to your house and talk about their life to your house. And here's the thing, I don't care what you think. That's so gross. I'll never trust you again. I'm the one on television. I have a television show. You're on camera right now. So at this point, and then I would be, that person could say nothing because I've hung up, and you could just be like, that's how you kill someone in your life. And it's true. That's how you kill someone in your life. And by that, I mean, like, you don't kill this person, obviously. You can do nothing to that person. Like, what can you do to that person? Make them feel bad? It's kind of like hard to make someone feel something. Like, you can try and guilt someone, but like, they're going to have their own feelings. Like, I don't know who Lorna is, but let's just say Lorna is someone who's like, fuck Taylor. She's a trashy, slutty bitch. She doesn't deserve anything, and I'm going to, get what's mine. And Dakota flirted with me once. Then the thing about it, and that's what that person thinks. And that person just thinks that, like, this is the way world works, that Taylor would do it too. And Dakota, it wants her. But so all that to say, what is the point of like trying to make someone feel bad by calling them shitty names? It's more important for you to, at least in my eyes, to let them know that and that their behavior to you is completely unacceptable and weird, and you no longer can tolerate it. And so you are happily removing them from your life by, like, what more do you want from them? Because the fact that it's like, even if this one was like, "I apologize. Taylor, I apologize. You're right. I did do that. It's because I'm so jealous of you and your fame and your beauty. And it just became overwhelming to me. Also, I have a drug problem. So yes, drugs and my overwhelming, like, even that, like, oh, okay, Lorna, well, mom will see you tomorrow in Zoom. But like, there's nothing good that comes from that conversation. So I just don't understand why it was like made to be such a thing. And I don't think that Leanne had like a lot of emotional wherewithal to like ever give her daughter some sort of semblance of a good example of how to move through this world as an intelligent, emotionally equipped being. And she's not the only mother to have not done that. But God, I just wish there were people, and not just mothers. I wish there were people to help emotionally regulate children and kids and people more. Just to be like, oh no, we don't have to do that. There's no need to call and try and make this person feel stupid. Instead, what we do is we take care of ourselves. So we let people know what our boundaries are. We stand up for ourselves. That's all you have to do. Anyway. Um Chris, I love the commentary today, but don't snicker at the expense of Alaskan Airlines customers. You know what? You're right. I don't know why. I just, when it was Alaska Airlines and I knew they were flying from like LAX to Salt Lake City, I just was like, Alaska? Why Alaska? Alaska Airlines to me like flies like to Alaska and then also to like Hawaii. I guess I don't think of it as being like a continental like state jumper of an airline. I've also never flown JSX, which I said just earlier, and I want to fly JSX so stupidly bad. You guys know what I'm talking about? Anyway, God bless. Okay, so obviously that person that they talked to just denied it all, and that's the end. And then Taylor says she's betrayed. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't know what you thought you were gonna get from that, but it's not the answer you want. So episode 10. So person said that they never had a thing for Dakota. I say person because who I'm like, I'm just called that person Lorna. Lorna's like, I never had a thing for Dakota. I just really love when people come to my house so I can help them cry. I like tears. I have like an ASMR for other people's tears. They make me feel good. Like, you're like, what? Um, then Leanne's like, I'd rather you do that to my husband than to my daughter. Which, what? I'm sorry, what, Leanne? Okay. So, Leanne, you're saying you would rather this person try to sexually seduce, I don't know why I say sexually seduce, as opposed to the many other kinds of seductions. I wanna platonically seduce someone. I guess you could platonically seduce someone. Yeah, like to charm someone into just thinking that you are like God's gift of fun, warmth, intelligence, humor, with absolutely no agenda and no mental trauma, you know? That's what that would be, but ha, 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 I'll see if I can ever do that. So, but Leanne says that, which is, like, so interesting, and it's like, why? Is it because you're saying that you have more confidence that your husband wouldn't do anything? Or are you saying, like, in the mother way, "I wish that you would harm me instead of my daughter?" Oh, sorry. Usually I take my, um, microphone off to, like, suddenly chug a bunch of water, but 'tis the season, it took me over. So, at one point, Taylor says she's Dory, and I was like, "Wait, is that the person's name that you let like, slide, or is this some word I don't know, like, she's Dory? Is this a reference to, like, the Fish movie, or is this a word I don't know that means, like, daft or dumb?" Um, so Dad comes in with Ever, and he's like, "He was asleep till I picked him up," which either means that he needed to go pick him up and, he can't sleep through bedtime, or that he was like, "Are you awake?" And he wasn't, and he was like, "Are you awake? Oh, you are, Ever. No, I'm there to pick you up and take care of you." I do love a baby. Ugh, there's nothing like a good baby, sack of potato baby kind of around the holidays like this. Every baby's a good baby, but by a good baby, one that's easily heldable. And like when they're like that sack of potato kind of baby, you can just like have a lot of fun with them. So Demi calls in the car, and we get like a lot of really up close face shots of Demi in this car. And I like don't understand why. Like there's a camera like off to here that makes sense. And then there's one camera that's like right there. I was like, what are you? What is this? Why am I do I need to see her pores? It's too close. Go back. Push back a little bit. Um She wants to wish Whitney a happy birthday, and Whitney and Demi talk on the phone and plan to make all the girls meet up because they want to have them everyone come back together as mom talk. And they also Demi wants to get forgiveness, and Demi starts to like lay down her sword and be like, "Well, here's the thing. I admit that I'm jealous of Taylor. I'm jealous of Taylor not because of her beauty or whatever, how popular she is. I'm jealous for how much grace that she was given." And the Grace thing is a lot. Like, she is just so upset that she feels like people were like, "Taylor, Taylor, like, yes, you fucked us over," or "Taylor, yes, you were mean," or "Taylor, yes, you put up an annoying, TikTok, but we all like you so much, like, we will just allow that to happen." And Taylor feels I'm sorry, and then Demi feels like everyone's like, "Demi, you did one small bad thing and we hate you now." And it's like, it's not that they have so much grace for her. There's 2 things. A, she is the head of Mom Talk. She started this shit, you didn't, and they all know that, and they wanna be on the show. Second thing is, they like Taylor more than you. They like Taylor more than you. That's why she gets grace. Grace is just wanting someone to be around you. The thing about it is, the minute that you do something annoying and you're annoying, that annoying thing will be used against you because you were already kind of like on a trial period. Like, unless your personality is so great that it is like important to have you around because you give to the culture, because your humor is there, because you like add a certain amount of like excitement or fun or joy, why would they need you around, especially if you're doing dumb shit? If you're like fighting and making people choose sides, it's too easy for them to be like, "Oh, great, not you." So I don't understand what grace you want. If you are saying me or someone else that they like more, they're going to pick that person. They're never going to give you grace and pick you. They don't like you. Is that really hard, Demi? Like, it does feel like the girls like Whitney more than Demi. And it's because it feels like that Whitney had what feels like a strong relationship with Macy. And Macy's like a tried and true, OG girl. And Macy is like, has Michaela on her side, like she has a lot of people, that like hold her down or whatever. And so Demi only had Jesse, and Jesse, goes with the flow. Jesse was like kind of everyone's little like beta girl who didn't feel like she felt part of mom talk and therefore had to give more than the other girls, which is like all of her like hair expertise and stuff like that. So she like would let all the girls come for free and get their hair done. And then two fucking bitches on the show. I'm just kidding because Layla's whole thing is not this, but I mean, definitely Demi and Taylor were like, we're not going to go to you, even for free. It's not great, your hair. So, once Jesse and Demi broke up, Demi had no one. Now Demi has Whitney a little bit, but Whitney was already out. Like, Demi doesn't have a strong hold or a foothold on these girls. She never really did. I think that once Demi went against Whitney and made Whitney cry in the closet, she started to think that she ran shit. And then she started to operate from that place and still operates from that moment where like her importance and priority in the group is, up tier, upper tier, but it's not. And it's changed. Like the stock and value of these girls in this pyramid is really interesting. I obviously know that I'm funny. Ha ha ha. So I know that I would like be obnoxiously like trying to be known as like the comic one or the funny one, or like I would do too much to be like the joker of the group just to make sure that like I would be necessary because I brought levity and joy. And then it would be used against me. I don't know, but I'm assuming so. Oh, honey, Sunday. So anyway, after that, there is Jay-Z Academy, JJ Styles, Jay-Z Academy Styles opening. And Jesse is like, I'm so happy. I thought that at one point my whole life was going to fall apart with the scandal that came out and everything, but everything's totally fine. And the 90 days are almost done. And this is a beautiful salon with a school attached now. And everyone comes, including Whitney and including, so Whitney comes and Michaela comes and Taylor says Dakota screwed over her family and is doing a mediation. Oh, wait, that's the next scene. So anyway, sorry. They all come to the opening, and Whitney's like, I miss this. I miss this. This is what it used to always be, just us celebrating each other and showing up for each other and friends and friend time. And I also miss my hair. Anyway, so then next scene, Taylor is going over her mediation agreement. And she brings up the fact that Dakota is refusing to film, and they have to have Ever's like baby blessing. And in the church, the Mormon church, the man gets to pick everything, do everything. So if he doesn't want to show up or sign off on this, what feels like a baptism or a version of a baptism, kind of, um, you tell me if I'm wrong, uh, then that can't happen, like in the church. But they can do a different one outside of the church because, like, another thing about Mormonism is that, like, the head of the family, the male head, the man that heads the family, and every man heads a family, is like their lifeline to God. Uh, I guess as a Catholic person, it's like every father, every husband becomes the priest of that family. So like the priest is like the like, the string in between your cup and the tin cup of God's ear, and the string just like allows that to happen. And so when God wants to like throw down his God blessings on your kid, it goes through the string, which is your dad, who then like, says it out loud in your can. Why do I just like hold on to a metaphor like 10 seconds too long? Okay, so um Dakota is really mad at Taylor for not handling this situation privately and going on television and talking about it. And she's like, fuck you. So then Macy and Whitney go to Swig and talk about life. Obviously, Macy and Whitney used to be really, really good friends. And obviously, Swig has paid $1 billion for this show. And which is interesting also because there's like no Swigs other than like Utah, right? Just a huge, just such a huge show that's all over America, and there's so much swig. And yeah, swig. What? There's like six of them. There's no swig around me at all. I can't imagine if there was a swig. I'll tell you right now that I really like going to Deer Valley. I don't know if you guys know that's around me. As I barely skied my whole life, and then I tried to learn how to ski, and I did like a somewhat good job. But I found out that I feel comfortable when there's no snowboarders. Those people are absolutely crazy, and so I do like skiing at Deer Valley because you can only ski there. It is scary for the following reasons: A, I'm bad at it. B, Gwyneth Paltrow almost got sued. C, I think about Natasha Richardson a lot. Okay, God bless. All that to say, if I make it to Deer Valley this year, I will track down the nearest fucking swig. Okay. Because you know what? At the end of the day, their advertising works. I don't, I guess I mean, I do like soda. Is that okay. No, I don't like soda. Like, I like drinks. I like juices. I like electrolyte juices. I love smoothies. Yeah, I do like drinks. Carbonated drinks aren't as fun for me, but I will tell you that recently, well, there's two things. There are two sodas that like do speak to me, and that is Diet Dr. Pepper. It speaks to me. I think it's like a very great soda. And I do like Sprite, and I do like regular Pepsi. I think regular Pepsi tastes so good. It is like upper echelon. I mean, I think it's so yummy. Also, it can sometimes taste a little bit like wine to me. Ever have a wine that tastes like cola? Anyway, so they decide, Macy and Whitney, to get again everyone to come together and have like an intervention. And also they know that Taylor is tired with her whole like business and Dakota and this baby, so that's why Macy's like, I'll do this because I'm like a second in command. And they're like, we'll have it be like a little testimony meeting where people get in and speak their piece. And Whitney's like, the point will be to validate, listen, speak your truth. I was like, okay. And then we get a little scene at Jesse's house. She's unwrapping like what looks like a lot of Revolve packages. You know, Jesse spends so much money. And then Jordan comes over because they have to make their decision on the 90 days. Every time like we talk about this, I'm like, 90 Day Fiance, just kidding. The 90 days of their separation. She says she's not ready, but like she'll never be ready. So they talk. And then she also said that he made changes. So after all of that, after saying that he was like abusive and all that stuff and how horrible he was to her, she's like, we'll try again. That shit's messy. I kind of like that because how many times has that fucking happened to you? I feel like it's happened so many times where, and maybe because this is girl shit, but it happens everywhere where it's like someone tells you a bunch of fucked up shit about their relationship and the relationship's like on the outs. And you're like, oh my God, what? He what? No, fuck, no, no, get the fuck out. And in this situation, again, she was telling all these things about her relationship, somewhat also to be like, see why I needed love and why Marciano could easily sway me with his very charming comments about my body and looks. Like, I had to do that because Jordan is such a emotionally abusive monster who like yells at me and doesn't treat me well and who expects me to do everything for perfect and he doesn't do anything. And then now we're like, yeah, fuck him, get him out of here. What the fuck is he doing? And now she's like, he's changed. So, and we all have to be like, great. That moment happens so much in life. I hate it. I hate that moment when my friends do it. I hate it. It's so awkward. I don't know. And then you have to see that person again. Like when you have to see Jordan again after your friend has unleashed and unloaded every horrible thing about that person. I mean, I know I shouldn't care or whatever. I'm too sensitive and my mind goes too much and my face won't do anything I wanted to do. I don't have a poker face. So, I mean, I'd have to sit there the whole fucking time, just like, I hate you. And I'm awkward around you guys now. Boy, is this nightmarish. And then inevitably, that person, Jesse or whoever your friend is, will then try and make you hang out with both of them. Hey, Chris, why don't you guys come over and we'll make dinner? You both will? No, I'm good. I'd rather eat with a fork through my own goddamn eyeball than eat with you awkward fuckers, knowing that you guys have a horrible relationship and what you're trying to make it seem like everything's okay now to me. What a fun time for me. I'd rather go to any play and see better acting. Anyway, I'll stop. I just really, it's obviously I feel a certain way about it. Okay, so then we get to this last big ass scene, and the scene is the intervention that's going to happen between mom talk, right? So blah blah blah. Blah. So Whitney and Demi had set up like a neutral space with Macy, and it's like this restaurant that they all get to go to, and but they all bring food there. So maybe not a restaurant, like I don't obviously like an event space. They're all like bringing sandwiches. It's very like bake sale. Um, while setting up, every girl brings stuff. Demi gets there and immediately wants to bring Taylor outside to like talk to her privately. And Taylor's like, "Oh God, it's gonna happen fucking fast," and I don't want to do it. Demi apologizes for how harsh she was in kicking um, Taylor while she was down, and also apologizes to Taylor about how she treated her mom. And Taylor's like, "Well, yeah, that part, because my mom didn't deserve any of that." And I want to be like, "Well, your also mom didn't have to go. Why'd your mom go? Why did your mom go to an event she wasn't invited to? What did she think was going to happen? Taylor, you should have gone. And you didn't go for whatever reason. But if you didn't go, then that's it. That's it. I personally think that Demi could have handled just been like wildly like, well, thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Leanne, for your views. Thank you so much for coming to my party and representing Taylor and letting us know her views. I've heard them. And then just let that person leave. But also Leanne coming, I think, was also aggressive. Leanne does aggressive shit, and Taylor wants to be like, no. It's like Leanne is aggressive on the phone with people. Leanne could just be a normal person fucking cutting cucumbers in the next room and letting people deal with their own drama that are 30 years younger than her, but she doesn't, right? Okay. Um, Demi then goes into this other thing where she's like, here's the thing. I'm a glass child. You know what a glass child is? Yes, it's a glass child. I have glass child syndrome. It's because my brother had Down syndrome. And so my whole life I was neglected. No one paid attention to beautiful young Demi because everyone cared about my brother, because of the Down syndrome. And so now I feel like no one pays attention and I feel unwanted. I feel unseen until, of course, Brett married me and he gets me seen by many men at night. It's like, what, Demi? What the fuck are you talking about? Demi, can you lay off of trying to make people feel bad for you? Hey, Demi, here's the thing. At the end of the goddamn day, you are a young, aesthetically beautiful, rich looking, privileged fucking bitch on TV that changed her whole fucking face and is married. No one feels bad for you. No one wants to feel bad for you, and therefore no one will feel bad for you. And the more and you want people to feel bad for you, the more they will hate you for being so goddamn out of touch. That's how I feel. Um, so they have to shine a light when they talk. They have like a little when they're done talking, they have little glow sticks around their neck. And so the way they started is everyone's gonna like say their piece and they're gonna break their glow stick, and then it's gonna be like that's shining there. And then later on, they'll have like a doll talking stick for them to like have the rebuttals. So at first it's like, well, just come with an open mind, open heart, say your piece, don't argue, and then we'll get into that later. And so they do. Michaela cries. She says that she's been projecting. Whitney actually talks first, and she's like, I'm gonna set the tone, and she just starts bawling. And then but yeah, she sets the tone. Demi wants to apologize to Jen and for insinuating something with Marciano. Oh no, sorry. Demi wants Jen to apologize to her for insinuating something happened with Marciano, when it's like, bitch, your texts insinuated that. Michaela cries, says that she's been projecting a lot of her like anger on other people because she's having issues in her own marriage, and everyone cries about that. Then Demi goes up and then says like a bunch of vague stuff like she's sorry for the way that she treated people. And that's when I feel like people want specifics. Then they have Eve as a talking stick and I mean, this is just like them being like, I feel that when I shared my truth, it wasn't taken with the grace that I would like it to be taken. It's just a lot of that. Now, here's the thing. Is this a safe, good therapeutic scene where the women are not yelling at each other or throwing things at each other or fucking over each other or throwing drinks on each other? Yes, they are communicating, but it feels fake and it feels vague and very superficial level. I think that this scene would have been better. Maybe if they had a therapist involved. Like, why don't you bring over Joy? Get Joy back. Joy does it all. EMDR, sexual therapy, mom talk therapy, honey. She gets in, she makes them all like you can hear my bracelets when I really do that. She's just like, Demi, go back. What happened at the Villa Pump Villa? Villa Pump. Vanderpump Villa. Has anyone ever watched that show? I refuse to watch that show. You would think I would. I'm assuming the episode's already aired of all these dumb bitches and Marciano being on the show. I can't watch it. I know I have to. But it's funny because they barely like, I don't feel like Hulu promotes Vanderpump Villa right after Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Like when Secret Lives of Mormon Wives ends, maybe this is just like my algorithm, it immediately makes me want to watch Special Forces. That must be because of the Cody Brown thing, because that is something I've watched because of Cody. So, they just all agree to like start again and, try and do the mom talk thing because, all of the success that's happened and get back to basics and what mom talk was truly supposed to be about, which that sentence happens 1 billion times throughout the show. Like Michaela, everyone's always like, I want mom talk to go back to what it was actually supposed to be. And it's like, can you finish that sentence? Because I feel like you want us to believe that it was about motherhood, sisterhood, money. It's about sisterhood, God, dancing, and pointing. It's about, like killing time as your baby sleep. Like, I don't, I don't, mom talk. It's about having something to do with yourself that makes you feel fulfilled. Social media, like, it does give you a lot of love and validation. I can't imagine building a career on social media that takes me from being a mom in Provo, Utah to then suddenly being like season 3 of a television show that like lots of people watch and like you get all these brand deals and you see your face everywhere and you get like these wild homes to go to dumb events with like Stagecoach and all this free luggage. I mean, and they are all so young. And I think that it's gonna be interesting to see like what happens to all of these lovely people afterward, especially because they all got married so young. Not everyone's married, but obviously. Okay, so we go to Ever's blessing. Obviously, no Dakota's there. Um, Jordan is there though, and he said that Dakota thanked him for telling Jesse about it. And that Dakota was like, "You really freed me up, man." And this again is supposed to be like Dakota is not going to even be at the blessing of his child, tells Taylor that like she shouldn't have done this on TV and like doesn't want to film, but then tells Jordan he's happy that he told him. What? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. If you're so happy, then why aren't you at the event of your son? Because also, Dakota, what the fuck are you doing besides being on the show? Like, nothing. Anyway. Um, then Demi comes to the blessing with Brett, and we're like, oh my God. And they all shoot a TikTok together. And I'm like, oh, that's why. Yeah, there's a part of Taylor where I wish that she'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna invite Demi because I know that like when we all get together and I'm the front of everyone and we put that TikTok video up, I'm going to get a lot of views. That's why I'm gonna do it. It's for the views. And then I would want to see them be like, they do show like them filming that TikTok. I want to know and I can find out. Like how many more views that TikTok got than the ones around it previously. Um, so then our final scene of the entire season happens, and I feel like it was a Hail Mary of a scene. And maybe like to like have some drama or intrigue, but also to like really make sure that we understand that at the end of the day, Taylor is single and a bachelorette. So she decides to go meet at a restaurant with Chase. We know Chase to be Miranda's ex-husband. We know Chase to be Miranda's ex-husband that she would fuck in the same room with. We know Chase to be someone that probably they made out with. Like she probably kissed Chase, if not more. And that at one time at a gym, Chase pulled her aside and was like, Taylor, I think I have feelings for you, and or I had a dream about you. And that later on, when he was asked about this, he's like, I never said that. No, I don't have fucking feelings or whatever. So now they're at lunch and it's quickly we find out it's a date and that he, was once married to her friend Miranda, who she's still friends with, and they used to fuck in the same room, her with her husband and him with Miranda, like on two twin beds and just listen to each other and then, probably think about what if one of them just got up and went to the other bed. And now none of them are married. And he knows that Dakota's on the outs and she'll never go back to him. So she says. And so, yeah, Chase is like, now it's time for our date. Chase gives prison yard energy. What's annoying to me is what I assume that Chase has a better career than Dakota because at least Chase has like a somewhat popular podcast. Must be nice. I'm just kidding. Haha. You know what I'm saying? That is literally based upon dad talk. But Chase flirts with Taylor. Taylor doesn't seem like she's into Chase at all, but this scene is still happening. Um, she does tell Chase all about the mom's friend. And he's so shocked because he knows that bitch. And of course he's like, yeah, and also like Kate broke up with me. Um, and that's when they start calling it a date. Um, he's just like, Taylor, listen, you're just like the greatest girl. You're just like so social. You're so fun. You're so easy to be around. And then he's like, "Should we kiss for old time's sake?" And she's like, she doesn't seem to be, yeah, I don't think that she's like into him. That was the end of the episode, my loves. And obviously we have to wait until December 3rd for the tell all. But what do you guys think? I'm gonna go back and read. Um, what do you know about prison yards? You're right. But what do I know about anything I'm really talking about here? Like, when you think about it, do I know a lot about Mormons? No. Do I know a lot about uh being married? No. Do I know a lot about like insular mom talk groups? No. I don't know anything about anything. But just like his general vibe, he looks like he wants to be like the head of a prison yard gang or something. I'm not saying that he himself is like an actual badass motherfucker, but there's something about him that certainly wants to be perceived that way, you know? Um, yeah, I also, like, I used to watch a lot of Locked Up. I loved Locked Up. Remember Locked Up? Like, Locked Up, like, was on WeTV or TLC or one of those, like, blanket cable channels, and they would just have marathons of them. And I probably should have watched Oz, but I never watched Oz. I did, again, watch a lot of Locked Up. And, yeah, like, I love that docuseries format of, like, prisons. And, like, especially if they get someone who, like, is experimenting in her or someone who's like someone who's either gay or a trans person. I was always obsessed with, like, listening to their story of how they, like, maneuver through prison life. Um, Oz was bomb. I know I should see it. I know I wanna watch I know. Um, oh, no, Pieces isn't. Pieces I see a lot. Pieces just was like, "What do you know about prison life?" I mean, I hope I never know anything about prison life. I think it's wild. I think it's not wild, but, like, I really wish that Martha Stewart would, like, let us know day in and day out of what her life was like. And not just I don't mean to be just like Martha Stewart. I listen, obviously, I would listen to anyone talk about prison for some reason. And it's kind of like there's something with infrastructures in the way that you have to maneuver in cultures and communities that are different than mine, right? Like, that's why I think I like Mormon wives and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and Sister Wives and the Amish stuff and prison stuff. It's because there's an infrastructure and a power dynamic and, like, a world that is, like, so insular that I would not have, like, access to, and the human behavior that results under these conditions, I'm just very curious to watch, because everything exists that exists, all like human behavior, like the love, the hate, the warmth, like the guilt, the regret, the, like, joy, all of that exists. They're just under, like, these different terms, and the ways in which, like, the pockets arise of, like, when you see someone, like, be funny or experience joy or experience heartbreak or experience, like, being seen or validated, those moments happen in life all the time, and they're quite small, but to watch them in, like, new surroundings, I guess, is what I find just, like, ultimately satisfying, gratifying. I guess I like the idea that there's, like, a sort of, like, insurmountable human spirit that wants all the same things and struggles with a lot of the same things. Like, we all want love, family, security, freedom, health, food, housing, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to, like, have a purpose, to, like, have money, financial security. Um, you know, to have moments of solitude where you can decompress, but also have moments of, like, great connection with, like, groups of people or one person or two people. It's like those are all things that are necessary, and we all struggle with, like, insane amounts of insecurity and hopelessness and sadness and anger and trauma and pain and addiction and nervous system deregulation and bad patterns. And it's interesting. It's almost like you can shake all these things up, and then in a myriad of ways, you see them all play out no matter what universe they're in, no matter what building they're in, no matter what culture they're in. You shake them all up and you get moments of all of them, no matter where you are. It's kind of like Jurassic Park, where in Jurassic Park, you're like, no matter what, like, nature can't be held. You can't, like, the human capacity to put barriers on nature does not exist. We can't win against nature, like, that's kind of like what a little bit of what Jurassic Park, is about. And I also kind of feel like no matter what infrastructure, no matter how intense or no matter how, like, debilitating or no matter how open it is or closed it is, that these pockets of human connection and humanity, like, still exists. I think that's, like, a basic tenet of why I like storytelling, of, like, these familiar moments that we all love, like, happening in unfamiliar territories and stuff like that. And again, this makes us feel like w we have such capacity to know each other because we are so similar, even if, like, so many things look so different. Like, Michaela talking about needing to be open to, like, the sexual advances of her husband. and knowing he wants that and needs that and deserves that because he's a human being and he is a sexual being and a creature, and they're in a relationship where one feels validation and love, like, through affection and through intimacy and through human touch and through feeling wanted. Like we just said, like, we want to feel acknowledged and wanted and seen, and the microwave doing that in a sexual romantic relationship that you're married to is obviously, like, having sex with someone and wanting that, like, being excited or, like, being turned on or initiating or, like, just, like, the dumb sly smirk or, like, little raised eyebrow you do at the idea of, like, playing sexually with someone. And Jace doesn't get to have a lot of that. And Michaela, like, knows that, and I think it eats away at her, and it, A, could be a reason why she's a little snipey to other people, little, like, snarky, and also B, like, she's is sharing it in a way, and I feel like the sharing of that could only help the process of her healing. So, there's stuff to be learned, I think, even from, like, dumb Secret Lives of Mormon Wives episodes and stuff, right? Yeah, they're all on a dumb, like, bus, with all their titties out and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, we have gotten to talk for an hour and 30 minutes about this show because it brings up all this stuff. Is he horny all the time? I don't watch, or is she a cold bitch? Oh, Lisa. He's like, well, they really, he's just, no, he's not horny all the time. He says he's a 10, she's a 1. She had like sexual trauma. She got like, this is fucking crazy, but she like got molested or sexually abused by someone in her family at a very goddamn early age, 6 or 8 or something like that. So really horrible. And she like goes to therapy and stuff like that. And like he does too. And so, no, I think that but she does have capacity to like kind of be a little like snarky about other people and things in this whole season, and at the same time was very open and honest about like what was happening in her own marriage and stuff like that. So yeah, there's sexual therapy is so interesting. There's a lot, obviously there's a lot of like pain that can happen that people have to like get their mind over or get their mind through or like, breathe through or whatever. There's so much that like holds people back from connecting in a way, like whether it's sexual stuff, whether it's body stuff or insecurities, whether it's, I mean, but body stuff being like performative or like, I don't, like body insecurity. There's so many things that can like keep someone from like truly being present and vulnerable with their lovers. And I think that like at the end of the day, the closest that we can get to being happy with ourselves and surrounding ourselves with as much like love and people that care about us, we can, and then just focusing on giving as much as you can to those people, I think is like enough. I guess why I say that is because it can be really overwhelming, like with social media, like what you have to do and how you have to achieve that and how you have to like be good about that and how you have to like get there before anyone else. But all of that doesn't mean anything unless you are surrounded by people that know and love and respect you. And it's not just to be around them, but also to like enjoy and be present and be with those people. And in order to be with those people, you can't be in your head. You have to trust and just allow. I think that like it's funny, like when you watch Lock Up, not Love After Lock Up, Lock Up. There are moments, right, when the prisoners are like, totally joking, totally having fun, like playing a games, joking around, like laughing at each other. Like sometimes it happens during the docu-series because like they would have picked someone and they'll go into their like cell and that person will like, be telling them about their lives and showing them pictures. And then their cellmates will be there and they'll be like, poking fun and joking about this and that, like, that all exists, right? Like, obviously, obviously the prison system in America is really fucked up, and I hope it doesn't become, like, super private, and obviously there's a lot of, like, justice reform that has to happen. So all of that, I'm not gonna get into, but I will say it makes me happy to feel like the propensity for joy is everywhere and that it happens in these moments in lockup. And that makes me happy because I would love to feel like nothing can take your joy away. And if you aren't in prison for a long time, that spirit still remains. And because that is who your humanity is. With sister wives, obviously, Mary and Janelle and like Christine were not in prison like they are in like, lockup. But for like 30 years, they had just agreed to chain themselves to the idea that they have to be with Cody Brown and his decisions until they die so they can go to heaven. Until they die, they have to live by this man's decisions so they'll go to heaven. Obviously, they can move about their lives and they're not in prison, so I really don't wanna say that, but it's an interesting metaphor of, like, how you tell yourself in your mind something that, like, basically imprisons you to one thing forever, and what if they had just stayed? Like, Christine, I think, sometimes must blow her mind to be like, "Holy shit, I could have just stayed like that, but I didn't. I got out, and then I met David, and now I have a completely different fucking life." And not only me, I started it, and low key, all the other wives, not Robin, followed suit. So, like, it was just a huge prison break, like Christine feels like she did like a prison break. Um, and like if you think about like Amish people, like all the like Amish shows were like, oh, the young kids are gonna go to New York and they're gonna like, like be on the lam and like see if this life's for us. The human spirit is like this like great force that like drives you out from the depths of like hopelessness and also can like keep you there, which is so weird and shitty. And what makes someone suddenly like, get me the fuck out? Or someone be like, we can't ever get out. I don't know. It's funny because the last thing I'll say, and this is everything is connected, is that I opened an hour and 7 minutes ago talking about the fact that I went to go see Wicked, which is true. I saw Wicked 2 last night. And Wicked is, basically Elphaba and Glinda, and, Elphaba understands, especially by Wicked 2, that Oz is not it. That, like, the wizard's a fucking fraud, Oz isn't it, that it's all fucking fake, and though it's beautiful, like, they're doing crazy shit, they're not doing great shit to the animals, and, like, she wants out, right? And Glinda is like, "Oh, no, it's gorgeous here. Have you seen the French Nouveau? It's so pretty. Everyone also loves me. I like it here." You know what I'm saying? But in the end, you know, Elphaba breaks out of the prison, and I'm not gonna give it away what Glinda does, but there is a certain amount of, like, what can be tamed by what parts of of humanity, if not nature, what parts of the world in the universe that connects us all, human, animal, love, hate, everything, that cannot be tamed or cannot be controlled or boxed in by one person or a group of small-minded people. And I feel like, we've yet to see that. Every empire has fallen. To somehow put boundaries and labels and infrastructure on something without giving room for the unknown and what we possibly can't ever control will lead us towards something that is like going to be broken. Because things change and need to like evolve. So yeah, like I think that's why empires fall because certain people get locked into what is and what has worked and therefore always will. But the truth of the matter is, the infrastructure cannot be stronger or more important than whatever it governs, like people. People are the thing that changes and grows and needs, and need, things to be reconsidered as tastes change, as people change. It's why like language changes. It'd be impossible to have held on to Shakespearean English for the past 500 years and to make everyone speak that way. It would be impossible. Inevitably, as you know, someone somewhere says something that sounds a different way, and then someone hears that, they're like, I like that way too. And then suddenly that changes a whole group, and then a whole group starts sounding like this. you know, it's just the way it is. You can't make Southern people suddenly start talking like this. It's just like, nope. You just allow people because the people govern. Nature governs. And so prisons and all that stuff, it's an interesting kind of thing because at some point it's just a temporary box holding what is the breadth and depth of nature and humanity. I think that's why like the concept of a prison break is like so exciting. It's because like at the core of us we know that it's better for us not to be bound. Somehow the only thing that can bind us is the respect that we have for each other. And that's why I think that like, you do what you do to others, what you would like to have done to you, except that we forget and we get in our own head and our own perceptions of how things are going. But it's like that live to let live, if no one's harming you, like, keep it moving. Cause yeah, like there is no control to be had in this world. Anyway. Yana, hi. Anyway, my loves, I've been talking for a long time. 12 people are in the room. What do you guys think? I'm gonna have to go, but I love you guys so much and really appreciate this long, lengthy live. So many people talking about secret lives of Mormon wives. Okay, my loves. Obviously, let's talk about what's coming up next. Sister wives and toe are happening, and we're gonna get into that. So I'll tell you right now, I want to film. I want to do secret lives tomorrow. So, oh, I forgot I have a reservation for dinner. Okay, I have a reservation for dinner with Poodle from Reality Gaze. So, what time can we do it? Can I do it in the day? Was this like in the sense of could you guys do a 2 o'clock or is that crazy? Could I do it 2 o'clock tomorrow, Monday? 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or are later night lives better? If not, then I can do Tuesday. So yeah, I either will do Monday, like tomorrow at like 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or I'll just do both Sister Wives and 90 Day the other way Tuesday night, the 25th, probably like 5 and 6 p.m. or maybe something like that, back and forth. So great. I love you guys. I said that already, but I really appreciate it. So I also have some fun things happening. You're the first to know, okay? The 10 people here right now. I'm starting my own podcast. I'm so super excited and stressed, but also very pumped about it. I have been like in the stages of getting the branding together and getting all the stuff together, and I'm going to launch it by the end of the year or not next year. So, I will tell you that the name of the podcast is Vanity Fair. Not a big surprise. Vanity Fair is low key the name of my Facebook group that, God, I wanna say that Lisa, were you the one that came up with Vanity Fair? Was it Mickey? Someone came up with that a long time ago, and I made the Facebook group about it, and then I've loved it ever since, and now that I get to have a solo podcast where I will have guests, but I will be talking about deep dives on superficial things like what I always do, pop culture, like I do with an emphasis on some of the looks and or aesthetics products, beauty, skincare that I like, and or hairstyles, eyebrows, makeup choices that they make. So all the same stuff I already talk about, maybe with just a little more of a specificity so that, we maybe have like a look an episode of what I already do. So 90 Day Fiance, the entire multiverse of that will be covered. Of course, I do Love is Blind, and I like the romantic relationship shows, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, where I can just like talk about the shows and then know that I will, like I do, make sure you guys know that like Taylor is using a Makeup by Mario matte palette. I took pictures of it. I'll link it in a post. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be like a magazine style format. I get to talk about those fun things, and I'll get to have multiple episodes, hopefully a week, different episodes for televisions, and then like maybe just some pop culture talk and some, guests. So I will launch that on all the platforms. But until then, I'm at Chris L. Farah on Instagram. I'm at Chris L. Farah on TikTok. And you can look at my Wicked review. I have a Substack, and that's Chris Farah. Of course, you can like my page, Chris Farah, on Facebook. And you can join the already existing private Facebook group, Vanity Farah, which of course is the name of my podcast I will launch. All that's happening. I'm very excited, but mostly I'm really appreciative that you spent some time with me here. Thank you so much. It's a Sunday. You didn't have to be here. And then you didn't even watch the show, Lisa. So, yeah. All right, my loves. Thank you so much. Truly, we're going to breathe together, and then I'm going to let you go. And then you're going to have a fabulous Sunday, and you're just going to really feel rested. You're going to relax. You're going to reset some stuff as well and make sure you're prepped for Monday. So you take care of yourself, your future self, so that on Monday you're like, oh, look what I did for myself on Sunday. Change your sheets, do what you have to do, take a long bath. I mean, clean the weird parts of you that you forget to clean. Like for me, it's like my belly button. And also like I had to take a Q-tip to like these parts of my ear. Anyway, do a little something for yourself, all right? Let's take 2 breaths, let it all out, let it in, rehearse, and then do it even better the second time. I love you guys so much. Yes. Um, that felt good. Just to make sure, it's Chris L. Fair for my personal accounts on Instagram and TikTok and Substack, and my personal page on Facebook is Chris Farah. And don't worry, I will have and do already own Vanity Fair on TikTok, Instagram, and the webpage. And I obviously have a Facebook group. So, what can you do except come for that mom talk money? Just kidding. Take care of yourselves and one another. Happy Monday, my love. I hope you have a great one. Oh, Amsterdam. I'm coming to London and Paris. I'm coming to London for the 15th through the 22nd. I'm going to be in Paris for Christmas week. I don't know if you ever get yourself there to either one of those cities. And I'm sure it's the busiest time of year. But if anyone else is in London or Paris, hit me up and let me see if they can put together something. Wouldn't be fun. But obviously, I know you're in Amsterdam. I'm just telling you. Don't think that I think that this person is from, 5 minutes away from London. I don't. Okay. All right, my loves. Take care of yourselves. And I mean it. Stand up for what you believe. Don't be afraid to 10 toes down on something because it'll make you feel better. Make art, not preciously. Just do it. Don't judge it. You're going to do it again. You're going to do it again and again and again. So just throw it out there Do your best, throw it out, do it again. And the more and more you do that, the easier it gets and the better your art gets. But more importantly, other people see that it's okay to create without judging all the time or thinking that you have to be something all the time or perfect or whatever. And that act of inspiration, you just never know where it's going to like lead that person. So, all right. Yay! I'm so excited. Yay! All right, my loves, I'll talk to you later. Bye.